After 2 years of promises, they gave my promotion to the worst person on the team, so I left and let them sink. Original post. I've been working as a graphic designer in the marketing department of my company for around 3 to 4 years. When I started, our team was small, just 3 of us, including a team lead I respected deeply. Although we were a small group, I loved the creative challenges and the close collaboration with my coworkers. As the team grew, I quickly became known as one of the most dedicated and fastest designers. I trained every new hire, led projects, delivered presentations, and even organized workshops for the team. Over time, I took on the responsibilities you'd expect of a senior designer and gave my all to each project. Then things started to change. My team lead left, which meant even more responsibilities landed on my plate, as we had no replacement for over a year. It felt like the perfect opportunity to prove I was ready for a senior designer role. During my annual review, I was told that I was on track for promotion, and if I kept up the hard work, I'd be promoted within a year. But then I saw something that made my stomach drop. A new coworker, a notoriously lazy and toxic person, was promoted to senior designer. I was stunned. She had joined the team long after me, did the absolute bare minimum, and often passed her unfinished projects to me because I was fast. She had no clue about design strategy, stakeholder management, or even team collaboration. She would sweet-talk the higher-ups, take credit for things she didn't do, and leave the actual work to the rest of us. What really killed me was seeing her act like a leader, setting team guidelines she didn't even follow herself. She had a reputation among stakeholders as being difficult to work with, and they often requested that I handle their projects instead of her. After months of this, we finally got a new team lead, and I saw a chance to fight for the promotion I'd been promised. I prepared a presentation showcasing my project successes, positive feedback from coworkers, and a portfolio of senior-level work I'd been handling. The new team lead was impressed and acknowledged that I was the one of the most talented designers on the team. I thought that finally someone saw my hard work. But not long after, the same coworker messed up a big project, which affected not only my workflow but also my reputation, because she had involved me to cover for her. I corrected her work, but instead of appreciating it, she stormed into the office accusing me of embarrassing her in front of the stakeholder. I calmly explained that I was simply following project guidelines that she had ignored. When our team lead got involved, he agreed I was in the right, but seemed too scared to confront her fully, coddling her to keep her quiet. By the time my next annual review came around, I was at my wit's end, but I still held onto a shred of hope that I'd finally be recognized. Instead, my team lead gave me a 3-star rating out of 5 and told me I should be more present. They even had the nerve to compare me to a lazy coworker, saying I needed to emulate her social presence. I was floored. I had been the one keeping our team running, training new hires, checking everyone's work, and fixing her mistakes, and this was how I was rewarded? I refused to sign the review papers, telling him I wouldn't be proving anything else. I said that if he thought she was senior material, then he could let her handle the work. I would step back and do only what was required. No more senior-level tasks, training, or rescuing her half-finished projects. He started panicking and offered me the promotion in 6 months instead of a year, but I was done. 2 weeks later, I accepted a higher-paying job offer and handed in my notice. My manager was shocked, begging me to stay and asking what he could do to make things right. I told him there was nothing he could say that would make up for the years of disrespect. As soon as I decided to leave, I knew exactly how I'd handle my departure. Since all those senior tasks were no longer my problem, I wasn't going to spend my final 2 weeks writing down guidelines or passing on any of the knowledge I'd built up over the years. If I wasn't senior enough to earn the title, why should I act like one? Almost 60% of the work processes, design systems, and templates that kept our team afloat were things I had built from scratch. I knew it would take them months to untangle the gaps I was about to leave behind. The team leader must have realized this pretty quickly, because every day he started showing up at my desk with desperate pleas for help. Just a few guidelines, or just walk us through the workflow one last time. Each time, I reminded him that he'd refused my promotion, and as far as I was concerned, that meant my time and expertise were no longer his to ask for. The day I handed in my badge and walked out of that building was the first time I felt genuinely free in years. Now, I'm in a new job where my contributions are recognized and rewarded. Looking back, I can only hope this experience was a lesson for my former team lead and his senior designer. Maybe they'll learn what happens when you overlook someone's hard work and loyalty for the wrong reasons. But honestly, that's no longer my problem. Now for the top comments before reading the update. To be honest, you sound very out of touch with your management. You should already know where you are in the pecking order of promotion/seniority. And you should realize that your skills shown today might not at all qualify you as one of the most likely to be promoted next or go into a different role. Not getting a promotion happens, for many reasons, but you should always be aware why management picked your colleague. Even if you don't agree with their decision, management is typically not blind to the things you mention. They simply use a different set of criteria that you think they do/should. The more mature way of handling this situation is to simply talk to your management about it and put a realistic growth/promotion plan together. And if they can't, then look for something else. I actually did talk to them. Everything was even documented. I was already doing the job. All I wanted was a title. Practically nothing was going to change for them. I was already very near the salary scale, so even if I was promoted, my salary raise was very little anyways. So then why did they decide not to? You are owed a good and real answer to that. Typically, there is a skill lacking, and it's easier to ignore that for management than to tell you and have to work on getting that required training/growth. Well, it was a very long discussion, but I think it was not about the skills. I had a feeling like they didn't want to give that position so easily, or else everyone would have requested it. Also, I think they wanted to give that spot to someone else, which I think also have deserved that position. But moral of the story, don't promise what you cannot give. They shouldn't have led me on, and should have been honest with me like, hey, can't promise it, but when the time comes, we can look into it again. I'm facing a similar situation at work. I'm a few years from retiring after 30+ years, and my boss has recently promoted a 5-year employee to replace me when I leave. She covered some of my duties last year and was promoted 4 levels with a 20% pay raise, meaning she now earns more than me. Initially, I was furious, but I decided to quiet quit. I stopped documenting my processes, password protected my notes, and now strictly work 8 to 5. Meanwhile, my replacement has let the promotion go to her head, alienating the staff by barking orders, taking long breaks, and working irregular hours. Ironically, she'll have to give up her promotion and pay raise to take over my position, which isn't up for reclassification for another 8 years. With staff members leaving and a hiring freeze in place, the situation is bound to get worse, but I'm just enjoying the show for now. Get your years of retirement. Personally, I'd go ahead and do that transfer. Now for the update. First, thank you all for reading my post and sharing your own experiences. It's surprising how many people have faced similar situations. Your support has helped me move on, even if I can't forget what I went through. I hope this post encourages others to value themselves and push for the respect they deserve. Some of you thought I was overplaying my skills, but when you've put in years of hard work, gained experience, and learned your worth, you stop holding back. This was my breaking point, a major wake-up call that I'd had enough. For a bit more context, my team lead was new to management and struggled to handle conflicts. As for my lazy coworker, some of you suggested she slept her way to the promotion, but that wasn't the case. She was just very chatty and good at charming people, which helped her get ahead in a gossip-prone office. So, what happened after I left? I'm still in touch with my former project coordinator, my work bestie, who has kept me updated. They try to get my ex-coworker to step up, but unsurprisingly, nothing changed. She's still slacking off, and her behavior remains unchecked. To replace me, they had to divide my workload among 3 or 4 junior designers, and even merge 2 teams to manage it. This led to frustration because juniors and mediators were suddenly on the same level, causing some resentment. They also lost a lot of the work I'd done, so they had to redo it from scratch. In the end, the company didn't experience a major collapse, but they're still struggling with my lazy ex-coworker, who managed to shift her responsibilities onto the juniors. So, in a way, she got her win-win. The lesson? Everyone is replaceable, but knowing your worth is crucial. I absolutely love my new job, where I'm working with my amazing old team lead who left before all this mess. My hard work is recognized and appreciated. The best part? There are no junior or senior titles. We're all equal as graphic designers, and it's refreshing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my parents financially after they secretly supported my perfect sibling instead of me? Growing up, I was always the self-sufficient one. I worked hard, earned scholarships, and took on part-time jobs to pay my way through college. Meanwhile, my younger sibling had everything handed to them. A new car, fully paid tuition, and even an apartment. I assumed my parents were simply more financially stable when my sibling came along, and I didn't want to make a fuss. Fast forward to last month, my parents called saying they were in financial trouble and asked if I could help them with a loan. I considered doing the right thing, but something didn't add up. So, I asked them directly why they had spent so much on my sibling and not on me. That's when they admitted that they had actually saved for both of us, but used almost all of the money to support my sibling because sibling needed it more. I was devastated. I had worked myself to exhaustion just to stay afloat, while they funded my siblings' every whim, fully aware that I was struggling. I told them I couldn't help them financially because it wouldn't be fair to myself. Now, my sibling and some extended family members are calling me heartless and ungrateful, saying that family supports each other, and accusing me of letting my parents suffer over old grudges. Am I the a-hole for refusing to bail out my parents after learning the truth about their financial favoritism? Not the a-hole. Why can't the younger sibling help out your parents? You struggled all your life to make your own way without the help of your parents, and now they need your help? I mean, they couldn't help you before, but now they want your help? I definitely think twice. Not the a-hole. Yep, it's time for their investment in your siblings to pay dividends. Not your monkey. Send a message out to family telling them that you give your permission to your sibling that the money that was saved for you but instead given to sibling be given back to your parents. Not the a-hole. Sibling can sell the flat they were given and give half the money that rightfully belongs to OP back to the parents, as OP doesn't want or need it anymore. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my brother $50,000 that our grandfather left me in his will? I, 32 male, recently received $50,000 from my grandfather's estate. I was incredibly close to him. I visited every week, especially as he got older and his health declined. I was there through it all, taking him to doctor's appointments and sometimes just sitting with him while he watched his favorite shows. He was like a second father to me, and when he passed, it hit me hard. My younger brother Matt, 27 male, had a different relationship with Grandpa. It's not that he didn't care, he did, but he was always busy. Matt lives a few hours away, has a demanding job, and is starting a family with his pregnant wife. He visited on holidays and special occasions, but that was about it. I always figured that was just how he was. Reading the will, we found out that Grandpa had left Matt some sentimental items, an old watch and a few other things. The $50,000, however, went to me. I didn't expect it, but I think Grandpa knew how much I had sacrificed to be there for him in his final years. I loved him and never did any of it for the money, but when I received the inheritance, it felt like his way of saying thank you. A couple of weeks after the funeral, Matt reached out, saying he needed to talk. He came over and after some small talk, he asked me for $30,000 of the inheritance. He explained that he was drowning in debt. The pregnancy brought extra expenses, and he just needed some help to get back on track. He said he wouldn't ask if he were desperate. I felt bad for him, I really did, but I also felt conflicted. This money wasn't something I had expected, but I'd already started making plans for it. I've been wanting to open a small woodworking business, something I'm passionate about, and have been saving for over the years. This inheritance was the missing piece to make that dream a reality, and I feel like my grandfather knew that when he left it to me. I told Matt I couldn't give him the $30,000. I said I'd be happy to help in smaller ways, like offering some of the savings I had set aside. But I wanted to keep most of the inheritance for the business I'd been dreaming of. I even offered to help him look for financial assistance or budgeting advice. Looking back, that may have come off as petty, but I didn't mean it that way. He didn't take it well. Matt accused me of being selfish and valuing my non-existent hobby over helping my own brother and future niece or nephew. He said I didn't understand the stress he was under. And to make matters worse, our parents have sided with him. Mom says family should come first and that Grandpa would have wanted me to help. Now I feel like the bad guy. I didn't ask for this money, and I don't want to damage my relationship with my brother. But this is the first time in my life I feel like I could actually follow a dream, and I don't want to give that up. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your brother and parents are entitled. The money is yours. Mom and Dad are free to give him $30,000. As it's one of their parents that died too, they should have for sure have been given a part of the total inheritance in the will. Either money or other things of monetary value, not just sentimental things. They should offer to sell or give some of the money they've inherited too, if they're so eager to get OP to give up a big chunk of his part. Not the a-hole. He is an adult responsible for his choices. Stop letting them guilt trip you. If your parents care so much, they can help him. A. Tell them to stop. B. Tell them you have spent the money already. C. Go low or no contact if they don't stop. Last story. Am I the a-hole for exposing my sister's secret life after she sabotaged mine? I, 28 female, have a sister, Rachel, 26 female, who has always been the golden child. She's charming, beautiful, and seems to have everything together. Meanwhile, I've struggled with anxiety and never felt like I measured up. Last year, I finally got a promotion at work that I worked hard for. Rachel, being jealous, tried to undermine me by spreading rumors that I was incompetent and unqualified. I found out when a coworker confronted me about the rumors, and it devastated me. In retaliation, I decided to look deeper into Rachel's life. What I found was shocking. She was involved in a secret relationship with a married man who was a family friend. I confronted her, and at first she denied it, but then she broke down and admitted the truth. I told her I would keep quiet if she stopped trying to sabotage me. However, she continued her tactics, even trying to convince our parents that I was lying about my promotion. Feeling betrayed and hurt, I decided to tell our parents the truth about her relationship. The fallout was catastrophic. Our parents were furious with Rachel, and she's currently cut off from the family. Now I feel like the villain. I didn't want to expose her, but I was desperate and felt I had no other option. Am I the a-hole for exposing her when she was already hurting me? Not the a-hole. You warned her and told her to stop. She failed to. That's not your problem. You feel bad because you're a nice person. But your sister literally crossed your boundaries multiple times, lying on your name. Trying to harm your reputation, you shouldn't feel bad. You did nothing wrong. Your sister lied about you, while you told the truth about her. Don't feel bad.
Am I the a-hole for saying that it's my sister's fault her husband is divorcing her? My 27 female sister, 32 female, is currently in the process of divorce started by her husband, 40 male. They were married for a total of 2 years. But the problem started with brother-in-law wanting his own biological kids. I'll explain later. And my sister not wanting them. She was always against having kids, but the moment they started seeing each other, she started making certain changes about herself. He had a courtesy of telling her quite early where he wanted the relationship to go, and my sister at that point went from no to maybe to one day, and then yes. They got married. But maybe the realization finally hit her when we went to meet our cousin who had given birth. Yes, a new mother's body is not exactly the epitome of sexy because pregnancy does things to a mother's body. I could tell sister was detracting. And it was still early in the marriage when I asked her to reconsider and end the marriage now before it's too late. She was adamant that she wanted a child, but I could tell she was flaky. She never talked to me, but she would talk to our mother, and I would hear from her how brother-in-law was still going on about wanting a child, but she's not feeling like wanting a child anymore. Oh boy. A month ago, brother-in-law reached his limit and finally asked sister to be upfront. And she straight up told him she does not want to be a mother and started offering alternatives like adoption. Brother-in-law did not want to hear any of that, and sister came to live with us. As to why brother-in-law wants biological children, he was previously married and has 2 children. Then he found out that neither of them are biologically his. He pays child support but does not see the kids anymore. Understandable. Sister also knew this, but maybe love blinds people. She is here bawling her eyes out because brother-in-law started the divorce proceedings and does not want any sort of compromise. Parents have been giving brother-in-law crap for days now, and so is sister now about how stubborn he is, and wish she could see it before. It got annoying to a point where I told her that it was her fault that she was not ready, lied to him, and now expect him to accommodate, fully knowing his side, and that her foolishness impacted the life of 2 people. Now they're angry at me for taking his side. Am I the a-hole? If so, what can I do to make it right? I'm not going to retract my words because they're exactly what she did. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She lied to her husband by pulling a bait and switch on him. That's really shady. She's getting what she deserves for doing that and just can't accept that. All you did was tell her the truth. These aren't the type of things you can just change your mind on when you marry someone, at least without consequence. She needs to commit one way or another because waffling on something as high gravity as this will doom her relationships to failure now and in the future. Props to you, Opie, for giving your sister a hard dose of reality. Did she pull a bait and switch, or did the reality hit her that she didn't want to go through pregnancy? Yes, that is possible. But she still didn't tell her husband that she had changed her mind. He had to confront her to even get her to tell the truth. Everyone sucks here except brother-in-law. This is a deal breaker for him, and is making the right choice. Compromise either way would only breed resentment and ruin what's left of their marriage. It's better and more responsible to cut it off now so they can find people who are fundamentally more compatible. Your sister definitely should have been honest. This is a situation of her own making because she tried, out of love, to want something she does not want. However, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to rub salt in her wounds, and you've done her no favors for it. Your parents need to stop blaming brother-in-law. She doesn't need to forgo biological children just because she doesn't want them. He's not wrong for making this choice. It'd only be wrong if he tried to force her into pregnancy after she'd outright said no. He didn't. She made herself clear, so he left. That's unfortunate, but that's all it is. Real true support does not come from blasting the other person for the things they want for themselves. Less focus on him, more on her. And you learn to read a room. Tact is a valuable resource, and given that this is a sensitive subject, you should take your hints from that and be sensitive. There's nothing at all to be accomplished from telling her truths like that. You should apologize. Not because you stated something untrue, but because you were unwittingly or otherwise cruel to a family member who is already suffering. That was very well put. I agree with everyone sucks here. Unless you were directly asked for your opinion, Opie, then what you have done is kicked someone while they were down. You don't have to lie to her, but you don't have to wield the truth like a hammer either. She will get plenty of that in the divorce proceedings. Info. How do you know that your sister wasn't lying to herself and telling her husband what she believed was true at the time? Given what you have said about her freaking out about what pregnancy does to a woman's body and suggesting adoption, it sounds like your sister is opposed to giving birth, not to having children, and maybe she initially thought she could push past that fear for something she wanted with her husband. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her being a stay-at-home mom is a joke and she's just selfish? I want to make it clear I'm not slagging off being a stay-at-home mom, just my sister's version of it. I know how much hard work it is and I'm not putting anyone down for it. But my sister really does just sit around doing nothing all day, while somebody else does all the work, and then whines about how hard it is being a stay-at-home mom, and I've had enough of it. My sister Carol, 26 female, and I, 24 female, have always been polar opposites, so we do clash on quite a few things, but generally we are close. She has 2 kids, Rose 6 female and Ty 7 male, and I have a son Oz 2, and they're really close. Carol has always been a stay-at-home mom ever since she left school, and never had a job, whereas I've always been career-driven. My job's hours can be long and irregular, but I love it. Though if ever say I'm tired or I've had a hard day, Carol has to one-up me and say how she's even more tired or has had an even harder day because she's a stay-at-home mom, so works 24/7. The thing is, all the things a stay-at-home mom does, she doesn't. Both kids are in school, and her husband Dan is the one that gets them ready, helps with homework, cooks all the meals, they have a cleaner. And Carol doesn't drive, so my mom picks kids up from school and looks after them till Dan gets home from work. Most weekends, Dan will bring the kids over to me. I live a 10-minute walk away, so Carol can have a break. So I don't have much sympathy for her, but most of the time I just let it go. But last week was half term. I was able to get most of the week off, but on Friday there was an emergency at work, so I needed to go in immediately. My husband was away, and my nanny and babysitter were busy, so I asked Mom if she could look after Oz as I had to go into work urgently, but she couldn't as she was looking after Rose. I asked where Carol was, and Mom told me she was at home but was feeling tired, so needed rest. I said that she could bring Rose over, but she couldn't as Rose had friends over for a playdate. But I took Oz and rushed over to Carol's house to beg Mom to take him. While I'm talking to Mom, Carol came down. I explained the situation, but she said that as Rose has friends over, it would be inappropriate for Oz to be there. So I asked why Mom couldn't take Oz back home for a few hours and Carol watched the girls. Carol seemed offended by the suggestion that she should look after her own child herself. And I had about had enough and knew this was just wasting time when I had to get to work. So I said, well, thanks for nothing, and left and took Oz to work with me. It worked out fine, but I was pissed with Carol. So today I went over to Carol's. I wanted to put the situation behind us and move on, but she brought it up. She said she was waiting for an apology from me. When I left, she told me I just don't get how hard being a stay-at-home mom is. I told her she doesn't even know what a hard job is, and that the fact she calls herself a stay-at-home mom is a joke, and that she's just lazy and selfish. I left and she told me that I'm not welcome back. Not Day Hall. As a stay-at-home mom myself, I do know how hard it is, but I have also worked a full-time job. Neither is easier than the other, and it sounds like the real problem is she's selfish and lazy, not with her workload. Not Day Hall. She's the worst. Also, why on earth would it be inappropriate to have friends over and a cousin? Yes, every one of my niece's birthdays was super inappropriate because she had friends over and her cousins. That's so annoying. Being a stay-at-home mom is so much work, but only if you actually work. She said that he would interfere with her game, and the girls were there to play with Rose, not a 2-year-old they didn't know. To be honest, I really didn't know what she was on about either. I think it was just an excuse to not have Oscar. Just for clarification, your mom has time to babysit your sister's kids, but absolutely cannot do so for you in the middle of an emergency. Really? We are not focusing enough on how unfair and enabling your mom is being. It isn't the first time my mom chose to babysit for my sister instead of me, when I asked first, so I stopped asking her. But I was desperate this time, so I went for my last resort. Next story. Am I the a-hole for confronting my sister's girlfriend upon being accused of not caring about their baby? My wife, 35 female, and me, 34 male, have been married for over 8 years and have been trying to have a kid forever. We have suffered 3 miscarriages in the process, the most recent one being over 2 weeks ago. Now, my sister Ashley, name changed, left her abusive prick of a husband over a year ago and has been in a relationship with another woman, Brenda, name changed, for 8 months now. Over 2 months ago, Ashley gave birth to a baby girl. She came as a source of joy for all of us, considering that my wife was pregnant at the time too. However, around 2 weeks ago, my wife and I suffered our 3rd miscarriage. This was around the same time that Ashley began to behave strangely. She was constantly depressed, irritable, and weepy, and often attempted to drive the conversation away from her child and babies in general. These symptoms were there before too, but this was when they really began to come to light. It was then that she was diagnosed with PPD. Around 2 days ago, I decided to take my wife on a road trip to visit her parents to take her mind away from the miscarriage for a while. While we were packing for the trip, Brenda paid us a visit and asked us if we could help take care of the baby, as she wanted some quality time with Ashley. I knew that it would not do good for my wife's mental state to be around a baby right now, as it would trigger a lot of emotions. I kindly refused, and told Brenda that we were visiting her parents and we would not be available for a while. This really angered Brenda, and she began to call me out for being a selfish brother. She said that Ashley would never do this to me, and that we could never understand the problems they were going through, and at this point, taking a vacation and abandoning Ashley and the baby was extremely uncalled for. However, when she said that I did not care about the baby, that was the last straw. I countered saying that my wife already has enough on her plate to deal with, and she doesn't need Brenda's toxic vibes right now. I asked her to leave our house and take her negativity with her. Am I the a-hole for behaving the way I did with Brenda? Edit. To everyone who has been asking, Brenda and Ashley are both fully aware of the miscarriage and were in fact in the hospital at the time. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Not at all. You took a stand for your wife. Your sister-in-law is being totally unreasonable and entitled and selfishly expecting you to watch their baby right after you suffered a miscarriage, and in refusing to even consider why taking care of a baby could be traumatizing for you too. They can hire a babysitter. Also, I'm really sorry for your loss, OP. Hugs. No, you don't get it. Only Ashley is allowed to have emotions. OP's wife should be grateful to still act as a parent/babysitter for a moment. This reminds me of when I had 3 kids under the age of 5. One was a newborn. It was keeping my neighbor's 2-year-old to make some money. My husband's sister had 2 kids and wasn't handling this well, so her husband thought I should help her out, because he couldn't be bothered apparently. That discussion didn't go well. Not a hole. Brenda thinks that demanding free childcare from a woman who just suffered a miscarriage is reasonable. While it's admirable for Brenda to want to support Ashley through her PPD, she is completely lacking in empathy for your loss. You did the right thing for your wife. Brenda is the next abusive partner OP's sister has attracted. Likely narcissistic, coming by to enjoy OP's pain and throw oil on the fire. Not Dale OP. Best to go low contact or no contact. Brenda was way out of line. I'm sorry Ashley was going through PPD, but your wife's, and your, loss was equally as devastating as your sister's PPD. Perhaps even more so. Both you and Brenda were protecting your significant other, but Brenda was going about it by being a nahal. You, on the other hand, were not a nahal. Not at all. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister make my son's birthday cake? My sister is an aspiring professional baker. She set up a Facebook business for it in 2018, and so far has not been able to build up much of a client/customer base. Part of the reason for this is she isn't the best decorator out there, and sometimes she's downright bad. Before setting up, back in 2017, she did taste and feedback tests with the family. She told us she wanted to know if/where she needed to improve and all that stuff. Cool. A couple of people told her she was great and that she should open her business because she'd be great. The rest of us, me, dad, older brother, younger sister, and my husband, all mentioned how she needed to lay off on the sugar a bit because holy freaking hell was she poisoning those cakes. And we mentioned she would need to refine her skills with the decorating side. She asked for specifics, and we gave them. Especially on the kids' design because they were downright terrifying for kids. Tested on some of our kids. She didn't take it on board though, except for the sugar. She told us at the time we had overreacted to the designs and would see. My sister has 5 reviews on her profile. 3 of them are 1-star with the same feedback we gave about the appearance of the cakes. One woman had her 2-year-old cry when they saw the cake, and another had her 5-year-old say they were scared of it. The other one was more angry about it and did not hold back. The other 2 are 3-star reviews and say it could have been a lot better. It frustrates my sister. She tries to grow but doesn't listen to feedbacks. My son is turning 8 this year, and it will be his first friend party due to circumstances. My sister asked if she could do the cake. I told her we had already ordered one, which is true. She was hurt would it go to her over another baker. She offered to cover the cancellation fee, and I turned her down. Then she got mad. Said how can she build her business, the family won't even help her out and give her practice and a portfolio to build. I told her that she should start listening to the feedbacks she has received, instead of pressuring family to become guinea pigs for inventions. I also suggested she practice without getting an order, because it means she can provide a better quality product without using other people's money/celebrations to do it. She told me a good, not a prick, sister would give her the experience, and that it would mean so much more to my son to have a cake made by his loving aunt than some random baker. She has me feeling a bit bad because despite her telling me I'm a prick if I don't, I can see she's genuinely hurt we don't like her cakes enough to give her this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister does not have a business. She has a Facebook pipe dream. After 4 years, she needs to face reality that she's not capable of baking for profit. I think that's kinda where my frustration stems. She could make it a profitable business/side business if she put in the work to grow and improve in her weak area, decorating. It has never felt like she has put that work in. She expects to grow as she works, but people don't want to pay for that. Your sister is trying to walk before she crawls. She needs to refine her skills. No one wants a cake from the one-star Facebook baker. Except me. I'm in bed and it's 3 a.m. Please bring me a cake from the one-star Facebook baker. Now. Not a hole. As much as I hate to say it, some people got it, some people don't got it. She seems to fit into the latter category. She apparently needs a lot more practice before she entertains her dreams of branching out into a successful business. It may hurt her feelings, but you gotta be honest at times. Too much negative feedback in early stages can downright cripple a fledgling business. She needs to be 100% confident in her work and have a portfolio of cakes/treats that she has made that she can provide on request. My wife takes photos of every cake she makes, even just to kill time, and is building up quite a collection of photos. I agree. If she practiced and learned how to strengthen her ability in the decorating area of cake making, she could be doing a lot better, but she needs to put in the work to learn. Not everyone has a magical skill right off the bat.
Am I the a-hole for exposing family secrets? I, 15 male, have an uncle who loves to prank and joke. Even if you tell him to stop, he never stops. This Christmas, I was over there and all of a sudden, everyone was giving me dirty looks and icy glares. Apparently, my uncle joked that I had stolen $200 from his wallet, which is a lie. I didn't do it, and my parents dealt with it and confirmed it was a joke. A lot of people apologized to me, but some people didn't believe them. But it all came crashing down after dinner. My uncle was just joking around and roasting people even though everyone told him to stop. Then he saw me and said, "At least I don't look like a deformed gorilla." I snapped back, "At least I didn't have an affair." Context: my uncle had a 5-month affair with someone and my family covered it up on our family group chat and never told my aunt to keep the peace. Everyone looked shocked. And my aunt told me to give her proof. So I gave her the messages, and she left. She's now not talking to anyone. Now everyone says I took it too far and that he was just kidding around. Some relatives are considering cutting me off, while others are giving me the silent treatment. My parents are 100% siding with me and have been defending me. But now I'm wondering, am I the bad guy for exposing family secrets? Now for the top comments. Typically, taking the high road is always the best option. But your uncle's joke was to accuse you of stealing $200. That is not a joke, nor roasting. It disparages your character. I do think you went too far, but I understand why you did it. You just want him to stop, and nothing is working. And he did a crime. It was not a false accusation. Your poor aunt, living with that uncle of yours, he could have given her a disease. You may have saved her health. It's so sad that some of your family supports his ridiculous behavior. Uncle sounds like he has a personality disorder. Not the a-hole in the end. Best of luck. I try to steer clear of him. Not the a-hole. Uncle should have kept his mouth shut after the rest of the family told him to. Also, the family isn't any better. Uncle cheated on his wife, and the rest of the family knew and decided to keep the whole thing quiet? That is a whole family of a-holes. And why OP is getting flack from them for telling? Not the a-hole OP. Remember who does what here. You'll know who to trust and who not to. Well, they're all giving him crap because he has proven to his aunt that those people all decided to lie and conspired against her to keep his dirty little skeleton in the closet. They're mad because in one sentence, they all became the jerks. You push at people enough and you get what you get. Don't start trouble, won't be none. Not a-hole. If someone had come back at him years ago, your uncle might not be the a-hole. He is. Yep, keep pushing and pushing. Don't be surprised when someone pushes back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my brother's stepkids to my son's birthday? I, female 37, have a younger brother, John, male 35. Last year, he went through a brutal breakup, found out his fiancée was cheating, and had to cancel the wedding a week before. He was heartbroken and lost a ton of money. A few months later, he met Hannah, female 34, who's a mom for my kids' soccer team. My husband and I have 2 kids, and she has 3. Her oldest 2 are the same age as mine, plus she has a younger one. In October, John came to one of my kids' soccer events and they met. I didn't even introduce them. Fast forward a few weeks, and Hannah tells John she's pregnant. He was shocked, but got happy, and promised to be there for her and her kids. Now they're all living with him. For Christmas dinner, my parents invited Hannah and her kids. She showed up with matching pajamas for all the kids, mine and hers, that said cousin crew. It felt weird because our kids don't even talk at soccer. She kept calling me her sister and later posted pics on Instagram with the caption, "Cousin crew, new tradition, year 1. We figured she was just trying to fit in, but honestly, it felt super rushed. We don't even know her. Now here's where I might be the a-hole. My son's 10th birthday is this Saturday. He only wanted to invite his school friends for a video game and pizza party. Hannah's kids go to a different school. Yesterday, Hannah texted asking what my son likes. I told her she didn't need to get him anything, but that he loves Lego Star Wars. Then she asked what time the party starts. I told her, oh, no adults this year, and mentioned we'd be at my parents' on Sunday with a cake for family. She replied, saying she'd drop off all her kids at the party. I told her, sorry, but my son only invited his school friends this year. She said, come on, cousins are always invited. I told her, but I never invited them. Why would you think they are? She didn't reply. An hour later, John called me, yelling that I'm cruel because Hannah's pregnant, trying so hard to fit in and I didn't include her kids. I explained the situation again, but he said I'm a giant a-hole and need to teach my son empathy by including family. So do I just suck it up and invite her kids? Am I the a-hole? No, you've done right by your son. He invited who he wants. His party doesn't need to include strangers to appease your brother. Her being pregnant is irrelevant. Her trying hard to fit in is obvious, but also irrelevant. Her kids will be present for the family event. That's enough inclusion already. Not the a-hole. I think he was saying they were planning to have a lone/date night while kids at a birthday party. She's pregnant and deserves this is what John meant. My uncle married a woman with young kids when my siblings and I were adults. In the beginning, his new wife tried that cousins thing exactly once, and we all just gave her stone-faced looks. There's nothing wrong with becoming a blended family as you go along, but this girlfriend seems to really be pushing it. In October, John came to one of my kids' soccer events, and they met. I didn't even introduce them. Fast forward a few weeks, and Hannah tells John she's pregnant. This math ain't mathing. And John swears he used protection. My parents questioned and John got furious. My parents are afraid of losing John, so they stopped questioning. John is old enough to make his own life choices, but you don't need to be included in them now. Now for the update. John called my mom to complain about the situation. She told him it wasn't a big deal since even the birthday boy's sister wasn't invited and was just coming over to watch a movie with her during the party. We will all have a little party and cake at our place on Sunday anyway. That made John even angrier because he thought Hannah's kids should have been invited to my mom's place to hang out with my daughter too. He lost it and said we were excluding Hannah from everything. My mom tried to explain it wasn't like that and that she was just hanging out with my daughter. Now John and Hannah have blocked us everywhere. I'm honestly heartbroken because I feel like this is going to end badly. I just hope he reaches out when he's ready. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad it hurt my feelings that he is a better dad now that he is a stepdad and wouldn't do it for me? My parents got divorced when I, 17 male, was 7. My dad was never the best dad or the worst dad. He wasn't a monster or neglectful, but he never made time for me. When he wasn't working, he'd be doing chores and stuff at home, and he mostly left me to do whatever I wanted. If I asked him to hang out with me, he'd say later, and later never came. Or he was too busy and said maybe another time, but the other time never came. He encouraged me to do as many extracurriculars as I wanted, and he hired a babysitter to take me to and from those after school. He went to parent-teacher conferences with my mom, but I don't remember him being at very many school plays or sport games. The few times he showed up, he'd be gone before it was over and wouldn't mention it. And sometimes he'd be so distracted, he'd ignore questions I ask. It always made me sad, and I asked him to spend time together pretty often. When I found out he was dating someone, it was a surprise. But then it hurt me again because I found out he was spending time with her and her kids and bonding with them. He did eventually include me in that for a few months before they moved in together, but I was pretty devastated, not gonna lie. I saw him be such a different person, and since they got married, he's become a way better dad. But it started with them, and it hurts and makes me angry too. I don't want them to have better than me. I hate that they get better from my own dad than I did until they came along. He's taken more of an interest in me, but I pulled away, and I rejected a lot of his attempts. He takes us all out to do stuff, and when I see how much time is spent with them and the bond he built with them, it makes me want to tell them all to go buzz off. His wife has called me out for not being warmer to her kids and for not trying to get to know them like they've tried to get to know me. My dad has set up a rotation for different things with different kids, and I'm included in it. But it doesn't feel like enough when I have to watch him include them when they got this stuff before me. He sat me down a few weeks ago and told me he felt like I was unhappy and wanted us to talk. He said his wife told him that when I'm here, I don't interact with her or the kids, and that I come across as being angry at her kids. A few times, I walked away, but it looked like I was going to be mean. He asked me what was up, and I told him exactly how I felt. I told him it hurts me to see him be this great dad because he met them and became a stepdad, but would it do it for me? I told him it ticked me off so badly. I told him where was that dad for me? And why did he give them the dad he is now first? Why them? Why not his own kid? I told him they're not his real kids. They're not the kid who wanted so badly for him to spend time with him. I am. I told him I deserved it, not them. They were just his wife's kids. I pointed out how often I tried to spend time with him before he met her, and how he'd brush me off, or how little he showed up and took an interest. I asked him how I was meant to be happy he was trying now when they got it first, when they started it, not me. I told him I couldn't be glad for them. He told me he was sorry and he started to get upset. He said he didn't really reflect like he should have on his feelings and that he heard everything I said. He said he was so sorry he wasn't better and all this stuff. He told me he wanted the chance to make it up to me, but he couldn't just ignore them now either. And to do better for real, he needed to give me one-on-one time, but he also needed to still keep spending time with them. He asked me if I was okay with it. I said no. I told him I wanted him to ignore them and only care about me, but I know that's not fair. It just doesn't seem fair that they got this better version first. I told him it kills me to see it. We talked some more and we agreed it would be better if I live with mom and it takes time with me, and he's doing that. But after Christmas, his wife reached out and she told me she heard everything I said, and how unfair it was to punish her kids with what I said when they're not responsible. She said it made my dad feel so guilty too, and how that wasn't fair when I should just enjoy the fact he's doing better. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Your feelings are super valid here. It's rough seeing your dad level up for someone else's kids and feeling like you missed out on that version of him growing up. It's okay to feel hurt, but maybe consider this a chance to build something new with him, even if it started rocky. Keep your head up. You're navigating tough emotional waters, and that takes strength. We're working on it. He's trying, and I'm glad. I just can't watch him with them and have us make progress. It's why we have the new agreement. Could you ask your dad to do family therapy, just the two of you? It could help you both process and move on from the past. as well as deal with any roadblocks moving forward as you try to build something new. It can help to have an unbiased person helping to navigate the situation. They can also help your dad with addressing the situation with his new wife and kids. I'd rather wait a while before doing that, but it's something I can bring up later. I just want to see what he can do without therapy first. Not the a-hole, but his wife is a total a-hole for calling you to complain about a conversation that she had no place in and trying to guilt you into being a sibling to her children. Right? Like, way to kiss goodbye to any progress that was made, lady. What is with the steps on here, reaching out to these kids behind the bio parents' backs against their wishes and meddling in a situation that was properly being addressed? Ugh, the rage. OP is not the a-hole. Yep, instead of interfering, she should be supporting her husband's efforts to repair his relationship with his son. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to babysit my sister's kids for free anymore? I, 29 female, have been babysitting my sister Lily's 35 female kids, Ben 8 male and Ella 5 female, for years. Lily's a single mom, and I love my niece and nephew dearly. I've always been happy to help out, especially since Lily has a demanding job and often needs someone to watch the kids in the evenings or on the weekends. However, recently, it started to feel like I'm being taken for granted. What started as occasional evening has turned into me watching the kids 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes for entire weekends. Lily doesn't even ask anymore. He just tells me, "You're free Friday night, right?" Or, "I'm dropping the kids off in an hour." I work full-time, and I have my own life and responsibilities. Babysitting this often has started to take a toll on me, both mentally and socially. I've had to cancel plans with friends multiple times because Lily needed me. She never offers to pay me, even for long stretches. And while I don't expect to profit from helping family, it would be nice to feel appreciated. Last week, Lily asked me to watch the kids for an entire weekend because she wanted to go on a trip with her friends. I told her I couldn't, as I already had plans. She got upset and said I was being selfish, claiming I don't understand how hard it is to be a single mom. At that point, I calmly told her that I love her and the kids, but I can't keep babysitting for free whenever she wants. I suggested she look into hiring a sitter or finding a daycare service for the times I'm unavailable. She flipped out, calling me ungrateful and saying family should help each other without expecting anything in return. Now, some of our relatives are weighing in. A few agree with me, but others think I'm being unreasonable and that I should just suck it up since I don't have kids of my own. I feel bad because I know Lily's struggling, but I also feel like I'm being used. Am I the a-hole? She flipped out, calling me ungrateful and saying family should help each other without expecting anything in return. So, what exactly would you be ungrateful for? I mean, what help have you been getting from her or other family? Has she been giving you massive amounts of assistance in other areas of your life or other members of your family? As you described things, this seems pretty one-sided. But if there is some other half of this that you aren't talking about, you could also Uno reverse and ask her to babysit her own kids this weekend as you have plans. If she balks, you could talk about family helping each other out, not the a-hole. It amazes me how the excuse is, since you don't have kids of your own, yet people expect these kids to be watched, sacrificed for, and cared for like the free babysitter birthed them. Not the a-hole. Lily is a user and is trying to emotionally manipulate you. She has a good deal, free babysitting anytime she wants so she can have her demanding job and a social life. That just isn't the case for most single moms. It is completely unreasonable for her to believe she can schedule something that requires you to babysit without talking to you first and getting your agreement, especially for entire weekends. As for your relatives that she has enlisted to gang up on you, they are enabling her selfish behavior and participating in her emotional abuse of you to get her way. Tell those suckers that if they believe Lily needs support, then by all means they can step up and help provide that. But it is none of their business how, when, or if you choose to support your sister in any particular way. Their argument that you don't have kids, so you should do this, is one of the dumbest ones I have ever heard. It's not the first time I have heard it, but it's still one of the dumbest ones. The fact is that a parent with similarly aged kids is better equipped to watch kids for a prolonged period of time, and parents who have older kids are probably next in line. The only thing you have is maybe more time because you aren't juggling multiple people's schedules, and that you love the kids. It's not fair of her to take that time from you. I doubt she plans on doing the same for you when/if you have kids. If you have chosen not to have kids, it's also unfair to force her kids on you.